Good evening. Last month, I have to say, it was really rather disappointing. Lots of calls, high hopes, but only 2 arrests so far. No big breaks on the reconstructions, and frustratingly, the best news is something that we can't reveal until perhaps next month or even beyond.
We can say more now, though, about a case we appealed on in November. Police in South London asked for your help to find a man they believed was responsible for several sex attacks. You may remember one woman was raped as she made her way home from her work as a waitress late at night in Wimbledon. Well, as a direct result of one of over 700 calls to Crimewatch, a man has been arrested and charged with 2 offences of rape.
Our first case this month is shocking and distressing. It's double murder, and the police, working with a clinical psychologist, fear that the man who did it might have killed before and might do it again. Our reconstruction, therefore, is aimed not just at prompting memories, but to warn others who might be vulnerable to the attacker. And if you've the slightest suspicion from what follows, we're asking you to call straight away. Some details of this crime haven't been made public until tonight, but in a moment we'll unveil the profile of the offender. First, the story of the victims. Almost all the people you see are the real witnesses. The day before Guy Fawkes night, and Conrad Ellum dropped in to see his girlfriend before he went to work. Samantha Bisset and her daughter Jazmine lived in Plumstead in South London.
Sam?
I saw the stain on the carpet, and when I looked in the kitchen, everything was messy, and I found this confusing. At first, I thought there was something had been spilled. Then I thought maybe there'd been a burglar in the house. And then when I went into the next room and saw Sam, I realised what had happened.
Oh, she was a loving child. A very caring kind of girl. She wanted very much to go to art college. And after her father died, we decided to go back to Scotland. Maybe it was the wrong decision for her, because I found out later that she went through a lot of bullying and the wrong accent, the wrong time, you know. So, of course, she wanted to leave school as soon as possible after that.
Samantha had been brought up in Gloucestershire and wanted to go back to England. She became a New Age traveller, then 5 years later decided to have a child.
When she told me that she was going to have this baby, I was delighted. And she thought I wouldn't be, because it was out of wedlock, so to speak. She doesn't want a husband per se. After Jazmine, that girl's life just changed completely. It was just unbelievable. She became just the perfect mother. She wanted the very best for that child.
Right.
Samantha met Conrad when she settled down in Plumstead, and he soon became like a father to Jazmine. But Samantha had ambitious dreams that he felt were unrealistic.
A bigger place is perfect for Jazmine. Hey, JJ, come here. Look, this could be your new school.
Conrad was a good pal, but I don't think he gave her the commitment that she wanted. She wanted to meet new people to broaden her horizons, to make sure that she took every opportunity she could to help this child.
What's wrong, sweetheart?
I can't sleep.
I'll come in a minute. Just let me finish this first.
I've tried to be friendly, but I don't seem to have much in common with the housewives and mums we've met around here. I would really like to get to know people who are on a similar sort of wavelength. So please, be brave and leave a message.
Samantha placed ads in the local paper, hoping to meet friends. She was evidently lonely.
Thanks. I'm from Scotland originally. My mum still lives there. I'm a single mother. JJ's father lives on the south coast. Did I mention I was a vegetarian?
Yeah, you mentioned it in the ads. Sam and I hit it off from the start and became really good friends. We've got a lot of things in common. Like we'll have a bit of laugh in 2 weeks' time. Get on really fine.
After meeting Phil and other people in the local district, Samantha put ads in a newspaper that's London-wide. It's not clear what she expected, but she was shocked at some of the replies.
How to describe myself? I'm 27. I'm tall, blonde. I suppose you could call me upmarket. Hello? Mum, no, yeah, it's all right. I just had a funny call.
Sometimes she was feeling
She's
great.
in bed.
Everything was going really well. But most times she was a bit down. And I used to think, well, she's putting every effort into this child. And I used to worry about her own life, just the drag of, you know, taking Jazmine to play school, taking her to swimming. The whole week was just around Jazmine.
The week before the murders, John Clark, a local cab driver, remembers an event while dropping Sam and Jazmine home.
Oh, it's next ride.
Okay.
Oh, God.
What's the matter?
It's that van. I just hope it's not who I think it is.
She seemed genuinely alarmed at this van, but I had a look
I
around.
think there's no one else.
There didn't seem to be anyone there.
Yeah, okay.
So I made sure she was okay and off she went.
Throughout that week, neighbours saw the yellow van in Heathfield Terrace. If it was yours, please call. And who were the two men with it?
I always walk past Sam's to take my dog out. I see these two guys there with a little dog a couple of times. I think they live in it now. I just assumed they were friends of Sam's.
The day Samantha died was Wednesday, November the 3rd. Conrad left at lunchtime.
See you later, yeah?
Yeah, I won't be over tonight.
Okay. Oh, don't forget we've got to go to JJ's school
The
tomorrow.
last time I saw Sam, we talked mostly about the holiday we were going to go on. We were really looking forward to it. It would have been Jazmine's first holiday. Sam's mother had lent us the money to go to the Gambia, and we were very excited about going somewhere so exotic.
At 3:30, as usual, Samantha picked up her daughter from the nursery.
Jazmine, Mummy's here. It's time to go.
The cab driver is the last person known to have seen them alive. He dropped them home at 20 to 4. We don't know what they did that evening, but Jazmine was clearly put to bed as usual. At 10:15 that night, a woman was driving past Samantha's flat.
I was coming back from my friend's house. I was driving up the hill, and as I was coming up to the top, some man just walked straight out in front of my car. I noticed it was odd because he didn't acknowledge me. When I got to the top, I looked left, and I couldn't see him, so I presumed that he had gone in towards the flat, because there couldn't have been anywhere else he could have gone.
15 minutes later, a neighbour was out walking his dog.
Yeah, I come round some.
Samantha probably died from a single knife wound. After death, her body was then moved and systematically cut. There was no evidence of robbery or rape. Jazmine had been suffocated in her bed. Terribly sad case, and in a way even more tragic, because Mike Banks' Jazmine, who was 4.5, was sexually abused. Now, that's not been made public until tonight. Why are you so anxious that we should publish that now?
Well, I'm very afraid that this man will murder again, and I think I'm appealing to people that might have an inkling, they might know the person that could be responsible for these murders. I'm looking for a friend, a relative, perhaps even a wife or a girlfriend. And once they realise what has happened to this poor young child, a defenceless young child of 4 years of age, then I'm hoping they'll contact us and help us with this major inquiry.
Well, to give you some idea, we're also able to tell you for the first time tonight something of the background, the profile of this man. He's thought to be over 25. He's likely to have used contact ads, and maybe you've met him through one. He would have been unlikely to sustain stable relationships, and indeed probably has been violent to women and may have hurt prostitutes. A possible history of animal mutilation as well, but on the surface he'll probably appear quite normal. He's likely to have a normal job. He is, though, as the superintendent says, likely to reoffend. If he had gone to prostitutes, if he had attacked some sort of woman before, I mean, what sort of attack? What would it be that she'd recognise in his behaviour?
Well, I think rather than having sex possibly with a prostitute, or perhaps even to somebody he's met through a contact magazine, he'd most likely want to hurt them as opposed to having sex.
Now, Paul Britton's a clinical psychologist. How much, you studied this man in some detail, as much as you can, how much do you think you know him?
I think we know quite well what was going through his mind at the time of the offence, but I would like him to tell me how he got started on the pathway that led him eventually to harm Samantha. I would also like him to tell me why it was necessary for him to harm the child as well.
When you say you'd like him to tell you, I mean, he's not very likely to ring out and say, "Can I speak to Paul Britton, please?" and here are his answers. Or is he, do you think?
I think that there is a possibility that he might want to do that.
Is there anything else that you can tell us about him? I mean, will he share his interest with other people, do you think? Will anyone else sort of recognise, hey, you know, we had photographs of this, or, you know, is there anything else that he...
There is a possibility that this man will use a very specialist form of pornography, that focusing on the mutilation of women. And I think anyone living with him or in close proximity to him might be aware of this, and that would be important.
Superintendent, there are a lot of people that you want to eliminate, and I must stress, it is to eliminate. These aren't people you suspect. The yellow van, first of all, is pretty clear. Yes. You've got to try and eliminate whoever was there in that. There was also a man who's been seen with her, with Samantha, and you've got some pictures of him.
Yes, that's correct. There's an art impression. I don't know if it's showing up on the screen. The first one is a man. He's got a ponytail. You can't see it there, but he's also got this earring in his left ear, which looks like a cross. Now, this is believed to possibly have been a man who was going with Samantha during the summer. And in fact, he's very similar to the description of one of the men seen in the yellow van. Now, whether it's one and the same person, we don't know.
Look at the other picture now.
If that's
you, you're not under suspicion, but please call us straight away. We really do need to contact you. And also, if you were outside the flat in Plumstead, it's Heathfield Terrace, Wednesday, November the 23rd. If there's any reason you should recall that and you were wearing a white Mac, a long white Mac with a collar up right down to your shoes almost, you were seen there probably waiting for somebody, please call, again, you're not under suspicion. If you can help in any way, call Mike Banks or any of his colleagues, or you can ask for a BBC researcher here, direct in the studio, 0500 600 600. Incidentally, if you ask to speak to Paul Britton, please don't waste our time. It's far too serious for practical jokes or pranks, and we've got ways of eliminating people who are trying that anyway. Or you can call the Instant Room in Thamesmead. That's 081 312 1200. That's 081 312 1200.
Well, some more news now on last month's programme, and photocall cases produced some interesting calls. Police wanted to talk to Nicola Taylor in connection with a series of frauds, and there were a number of calls suggesting where she might be now. On the appeal for 3 men who may have information about the theft of a substantial amount of cigarettes and cigars and tobacco in North Wales, 40 viewers rang, with the result that 2 men have now been arrested and charged with 2 counts of burglary each. The search for Everett Watson in connection with an attempted murder generated a lot of calls, and they're still coming in. Police are now centring their inquiries in one particular part of the country. And finally, there have been new developments on the man who robbed building societies in Sheffield. Since the programme last month, police believe the robber has carried out 2 more robberies and 1 attempted one, all on January the 31st. This was in the Midland Bank in Hallgate in Doncaster, shortly after midday. And then his next appearance was nearly 3 hours later in Sheffield this time, and on this occasion the cashier activated the alarm and the man left without any money. That was at 2:45, and then an hour later he robbed the Coventry Building Society, again in Sheffield, but this time he was wearing a different coat, identical to one which sold at Marks & Spencer just round the corner. Indeed, it was the only coat of that style sold that afternoon. And just before 3 o'clock, the store's security video shows a man buying one of these coats. Could it be the same person? If that was you, or if you recognise the man, please do get in touch with us. He's described as being in his late 30s or early 40s, about 5'10" tall. He's a stocky build with dark hair, which is greying and receding. We'll now hear Detective Constable Jackie Hames and Superintendent David Hatcher with this month's cases.
This is Paul Anthony Hickson, an international swimming coach who trained the British team for the 1988 Olympics in Seoul. South Wales Police would like to trace him in connection with a series of indecent assaults on young women in Swansea. He's 46 years old, 5'9", of slim athletic build and has sandy-coloured hair. He was last seen in September 1993 in Somerset. If you know where he is, please call us.
Next, you recognise this man. Thames Valley Police are keen to speak to him about an incident in Oxfordshire. Here he is at the beginning of December in a jeweller's in Wallingford. He chatted to one of the assistants for over 10 minutes before leaving the shop empty-handed. Then, a week later, 12 miles away in Abingdon, he went into another jeweller's. Again, he appeared very chatty, but this time he ran out, taking several diamond rings with him. If you know who he is, please ring us now.
This is John Baldock. We believe he may have information about a series of fraudulent deceptions involving thousands of pounds of pensioners' money. Since the beginning of last year, at least 50 elderly people in London, Hampshire, Sussex, Surrey and Kent have lost part of their life savings. John Baldock is 46, 6'2", with a scar on his left cheek, and he uses the alias Paul Taylor. He probably lives in London, but spends time travelling around the country. Only last week he was seen in Portsmouth. If you know where he is now, please ring.
Finally, colleagues from Queen's Road in Birmingham are anxious to speak to this man, Lambert Victor Small. He may have information about the murder of his neighbour, Thomas Spence, who was attacked for no apparent reason in his garden in Nechells, Birmingham, on the 30th of December. Lambert Small is 67, 5'5", stocky and may be using the names Brown or Tate. He has visited Merseyside in the past, but if you know where he is, or if you can help with any of our other photocall faces, please call.
That's the number 0500 600 600. 0500 600 600.
We need your help now to solve a robbery where an armed gang behaved erratically and used utterly pointless violence against the police and against members of the public. Actors play most of the parts in our reconstruction.
This is Burnley in Lancashire. It's the morning of Tuesday the 30th of November, and shortly after 8:30, police constables Mark Driver and Paul Ogden were a couple of hours into their day shift. The pair of them often worked together and had become good friends.
I reckon the Thursday before is better, because that's the last night before Christmas that we're all on days. Is it still going to be at the Oaks?
No, everyone said to go somewhere different this year.
Who's organising it?
Panda 1.
Can you attend 123 Lower Manor Lane? Reported overnight shed break on the estate.
Yeah, will do.
Meanwhile, just a mile away, Stonyholme Post Office was expecting a delivery.
That'll be the postman, Wilfred.
Right. Morning.
Morning. You! Inside! Come on, move it! Inside! Get in! Get the police! Inside. Come on, move it! Get over! I said inside! Come on, move it! Stay there!
Look, mate, don't pull that trigger. I'm going to do nothing to you. Whatever you want, you're going to have.
Move! Not there, in there! Come on, move it! Inside!
No, it's the van outside the post office. They've both got guns. One of them's wearing a balaclava.
All right, just let me run it back. Last saw the bike when you locked up at 10:30. Heard the dog bark at what time? Around midnight. That's right.
Burnley 2 patrols reported a robbery in progress at Stonyholme Post Office. Firearm. More details to follow.
All right, we'll sort that out.
Yeah. Panda 1. Where's the post office we're going to, please?
Now, don't move!
You want to take a right by the postbox?
Stand by.
Who's it come back to?
Yeah, it's a white Austin Montego, reported stolen. They've held the van up with a shotgun and a handgun.
Right. Which direction of travel, Linda?
It's Brougham Street towards Abel Street. Yeah, can you take care with 2 firearms reported?
Panda 1 to Burnley, behind the Montego now. A white Montego. Now Old Hall Street towards Colne Road. Left into Bath Street.
Your thoughts are going very thick and fast. But is it a gun that you think it is, and is he going to use it? Very, very quickly, he stopped in front of our car, raised it up to his shoulder. He was shot once at the front of our car. I think at that stage he was trying to hit a tyre, possibly, or disable the car in some way. And then, as soon as he'd done that, I thought, well, he means business. But surely that's the end of it now, he'll go. I was looking at the shotgun the whole time. Couldn't take my eyes off it.
Get out! Get on the floor!
I was very stunned on the second shot.
I've been shot in the leg. Help me, Oggy! I need an ambulance, Robinson Street, now. Mark Driver's been shot.
I couldn't believe that he'd done it. There were no threat to him whatsoever. He could have made his getaway any time at all. You know, we would have backed off if he'd have said, thrown the keys away or whatever. But he didn't give us any chance to do that.
Come on, it's all right. Come on, lie down. Come on, it's all right. There's an ambulance on its way.
Once the threat had gone, then it's just a matter of training takes over and you look after your mate and do the best you can, I think.
All right. Come on, you're going to be all right. There's someone coming.
After the shooting, the robbers seemed to panic. Harry Bell had just dropped his children off at school.
I was just off down Barding Lane when I saw this white car come towards me, going pretty fast. The bloke who got out just walked off up a side street.
The other 2 robbers drove on to the end of Newman Street. Half a mile away, Graham Barsby was pulling up outside his house.
My first thought was maybe I'd cut him up back on the road. And then I thought, well, what have I done? When I saw the shotgun, Terry just took over. And I sort of started fearing for my life.
As the car came towards me, I seen this man taking off his balaclava. He had a bushy moustache and he stared right into my eyes. That's when he scared me the most.
Obviously I've had time now to reflect on what did happen. Don't really think there's a great deal else I could have done, any different. You think, oh, maybe try to run him over or maybe reverse, but either way that's going to panic him. As it happened, it didn't make much difference. I got shot in the hand and in the knee. Don't know how long I'm going to be off work though. Could be up to 6 months. Don't know when I'll be playing football either.
Well, Mr Thornley, that really was a terrible ordeal for those 2 officers. What's the latest on Mark and Paul now?
Well, Mark Driver's recovering very well. He's regaining the use of his leg and we hope that he'll be able to resume full duties probably in a few months' time. Paul Ogden, as you know, wasn't physically injured, but he was extremely shocked and he has told me that, in fact, he relives the incident quite often. as do the civilian witnesses, because they were severely traumatised when they were subject to the hijack offences.
Why the men should use the violence they did, why they should shoot at the policemen, it's difficult to explain, isn't it? Their behaviour was certainly erratic.
It was indeed, and certainly after the shooting, one of the offenders jumped out of the moving vehicle, which shows that he might have panicked. In fact, we have evidence that, in fact, one of the offenders at the scene of the robbery was very, very nervous, and we've got an artist's impression of that man.
This is the man with the flat cap on. How is he described?
That's right. He's a white male in his 40s, described as 5'5" to 5'6", which is comparatively small for a man. He was wearing the flat cap and glasses, although we appreciate they may be part of a disguise. But I think the significant thing about him is he was described as having a navy face, which I interpret as a very weathered face, and he had sunken cheeks with deep creases in his cheeks, and those are quite clear on the artist's impression.
So it sounds quite distinctive. The men dumped the second car, the Escort, about a mile away, and now you think they may have transferred, you've got new information, they may have transferred to a Citroen.
Yes, we've got evidence in the last few weeks that the offenders may have been in possession of a stolen dark green Citroen Xantia car. That car we think was stolen from the Keighley area back in September of last year, and we also believe that that vehicle may well be linked to a series of serious armed robberies which have occurred in the South Yorkshire area recently.
So that is absolutely vital. If anybody saw that car, it's a green Citroen Xantia L592MWX, and there's a reward, isn't there?
There is. There's a reward of £15,000 for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the offenders.
If you can help DCI Thornley and his colleagues to trace these men, please do call us here tonight on 0500 600 600. If you prefer, you can call the incident room direct, that's at Burnley, the number 0282 472233. That's 0282, the code for Burnley, 472233.
Just trying to catch up on what calls have been coming in so far. I have to say it's been a fairly slow start. There's quite a bit coming in on photo call. Most of the calls, not surprisingly, being on the murder of Samantha Bisset and her daughter. Frankly, a lot of those calls aren't going to be terribly helpful. People are ringing in saying they've spotted the yellow van all over the country. Frankly, we're not interested in sightings of yellow vans. We're only interested in whoever owned that van themselves to call in and say they were visiting Samantha. Let's now, just before we move on, correct one thing. The date of the murder was the 3rd of November, 2 days before Guy Fawkes night, OK? The 3rd, not the 23rd of November. Let's move to incident desk now, and here once again are DC Jackie Hames and Superintendent David Hatcher.
First, do you recognise this man? For the past 18 months, he's indecently assaulted young girls in supermarkets across Kent. The 6 attacks have all taken place at large out-of-town superstores, and the most recent happened just a few days before Christmas in Ashford. The man's described as about 40, 5'10" with black hair and a beard, although sometimes he's clean-shaven. On the last occasion, he wore a short beige or cream coat, but he's always described as smartly dressed. We need to catch this man before he strikes again, so if you can help in any way, please call Ashford CID on 0233 619 188. That's 0233, the code for Ashford in Kent, 619 188.
Brian Kirkham almost lost his livelihood in just a few minutes. He and his family were robbed in Leeds on December the 3rd as they drove home. The family have taken part in our film tonight in the hope that someone will recognise the people involved.
About 7 years ago, I was made redundant from my regular occupation, and after a few months, couldn't get a job for love nor money, so we decided we'd go into the jewellery business. I managed to build up a nice small base of regular customers. My wife Elaine and I decided that we couldn't really work from home anymore, and it would be useful if we found a small retail shop somewhere near our home that we could use as a base for the wholesale side and also for Elaine to work as a retail opportunity.
21st. I'm not really sure what to look. Something like this? Yeah, that's quite pretty because she's not into sort of ugly rings, you know, big ones.
Paul, we're ready to make this order. My son Paul and I operate the wholesale side of the business, travelling all over the country, coming back to Leeds, making orders up, sending them off in the post, and generally working 6 or 7 days a week.
Is medium figure.
And the weight, please?
It's
In the beginning of December last year, things were looking really good. The shop was doing well, the wholesale side of the business was doing really well, All that changed in a matter of minutes on the 3rd of December.
On that day, a local resident noticed a Toyota Supra parked just across from the Kirkham shop. We believe the car was stolen 10 days earlier in Leeds. The driver shielded his face when he was noticed. He's in his early 20s, short and stocky with blonde hair.
On Friday the 3rd of December we left the shop at roughly 6 o'clock and we arrived at my close that evening at near enough 6:15. As I came to turn into the cul-de-sac where we lived, I noticed a red van driving in front of us. It suddenly slewed straight across, blocking the whole entrance into the cul-de-sac. I immediately knew there was going to be a robbery and told my wife and son to hold tight, shot forward and rammed the van. I looked in the rear-view mirror and I saw there was a red Toyota with its headlights full on right behind me. I knew at that moment my point of escape was blocked. At this point, everything went mad. There were 4 masked men smashing the windows, the windscreens. We were all ordered out of the car. My wife was made to lie down over that side. Paul was forced to lie down by a masked man on that side. And I was commanded to lay down on the floor here with a man with a shotgun pointing at me. Get up now, or we'll bloody kill you. Don't mess about. Get that boot open. Get up now. Get to the back. Open this boot. Open it now. I carried on. I went to the boot, opened it up, and they were away with all gear.
The Nissan Urvan used in the robbery had been stolen and it's now back with its rightful owner. But where was it between November the 24th and December the 3rd? The stolen Toyota was abandoned after the raid. Perhaps you saw the two together in Leeds at the end of November last year.
7 years' hard work were destroyed in a matter of 2 or 3 minutes. Our financial position now is terrible. We've got to start again. We won't be beaten. We won't let the bastards get us down. We'll work long hours again. We'll keep at it and we'll get back to where we were before.
This man, he's in his early 20s, stocky with blonde hair, or if you can help in any other way, please call West Yorkshire Police on 0532 413 436. That's 0532, the code for Leeds, 413 436.
Our next case tonight is about a gang who we believe carried out at least 2 armed robberies in southern England. The latest attack happened at around 6 a.m. on Thursday the 13th of January, and the moments preceding the raid were caught on camera. First, the security van is seen here leaving the Nursling industrial estate near Southampton. It's closely followed by another lorry and the robbers are hidden in the back. Further along the road leading on to the M271 towards Romsey, the robbers forced the security van to stop and the raid took place. We're particularly keen to speak to anyone who remembers this white Ford cargo lorry, registration C837KGJ, which was involved in the raid and later broke down on the westbound carriageway of the M4 near Hungerford. A passing motorist may even have inadvertently given the robber a lift. 4 vehicles were involved in the robbery, 3 are still missing. They're a dark blue Volvo F6 lorry, a gold Ford Cargo and a white Ford Sierra. If you know anything about these vehicles or about the raid itself, and there is a considerable reward, please call Hampshire Police on 0703 581 111. That's 0703, the code for Southampton, 581 111.
During the past few months, a number of unique items of furniture and silverware have been stolen. They're priceless and cannot be replaced. Back in 1909, the West Auckland Football Club went to Italy to compete in the first ever World Cup competition. Being an amateur team, they struggled to raise the money to pay for the trip. Much to everyone's amazement, the team won. Sadly, during the night of the 17th of January, a display cabinet in the West Auckland Working Men's Club was broken into. Their trophy was stolen. If you know where it is, now please call. Next, on Christmas Day, a family in Kent returned home to find several Staffordshire statues had been stolen. These figures are over 100 years old and are between 15 and 31 inches tall. If you've ever visited the SS Great Britain in Bristol, you may have seen its antique collection of silverware, which dates back to 1850. They're easily identifiable as all the items are engraved with the words "The Great Britain." The collection was stolen last month. And finally, the Church of St Nicholas in Hampshire has been the home of a medieval oak treasure chest since 1300. It disappeared on the 17th of December. If you recognise this, or you can help with any of our other incident desk cases, please call.
And the number 0500 600 600. It's a free call number. We've almost 30 lines here. 0500 600 600.
Our next case is a murder which took place just 8 weeks ago. Paul Logan, a young family man, father of 2 children, was killed just 2 days before Christmas. Northumberland police are in the studio with us tonight in the hope that someone watching this programme will know who killed him and why. Our reconstruction begins near Concert in County Durham at a Chinese restaurant where Paul worked. For the past 2 years, Paul Logan had worked most evenings as a delivery driver for the Golden Flower Chinese takeaway.
Look at Shotley, Tony. What have you been up to?
Went into Newcastle again last night. Didn't get back until 8.
Now wait, Tony. What you been up to?
You had to know Paul to appreciate Paul. Paul was a very good son, a very good father.
Paul lived not far from the takeaway with Pamela Hughes and their 2 children, Michael and Natalie. He and Pamela had been together for nearly 10 years.
He always seemed to be laughing all the time with Michael, always carrying on, and he always took Michael everywhere. And he was like, everyone used to call him his little shadow.
I mean, Paul had his good points. He had his bad points like everyone. Paul wasn't perfect, but he was a very loving person, and he was loved very much by this family.
Over the past 3 months, Paul's car had been vandalised several times. Perhaps someone had a grudge against him. It's early evening on Thursday the 23rd of December.
How are you then, Michael? There's your dinner. There you go.
You want to take out your mouth?
Lemonade. All right?
Oh, we love sausages, don't we? Hey?
How are you then?
Hey, boy,
come on. It's going to be one of your late nights again, Paul.
Well, it's not exactly a quiet time of year. I'll be wanting a sweet and sour. I'll pop in around 11, see if you're all right.
Right.
All right, I better be off.
He was busy that time of year because it was like Christmas time. I had been singing carols, been singing jingle bells and everything before he went to work.
Good night, you, Debbie. Try, see you later.
Hello, Golden Flower. 1 king prawn. Chicken and sausage.
Oh, thanks for a visit tonight. Oh, great. And such a lovely evening for it.
We're very busy. Go back in kitchen. Hello, Golden Flower. Sorry, can you spell that? Blue House Farm. Can I take your number and get the driver to call you back for directions?
My boyfriend and I were walking down Benfield Side Road towards Snows Green Road, and we noticed a Ford Fiesta XR2, and then we saw a man in the phone box who was trying not to draw attention to himself. I noticed him because he was not on the phone as we walked past.
Paul, can you check address?
Blue House Farm. That rings a bell. That's off Newlands. Someone...
I said you phoned them.
As I crossed the road, the man in the phone box was actually on the phone.
The Blue House Farm. I see, right. That's on the left down Newlands Road. OK, see you soon.
The farm was about 5 minutes' drive away. It's now nearly 10 o'clock.
Who's that?
Chinese takeaway.
We never order Chinese. Someone's made a mistake. Which Chinese?
Shotley Bridge.
We never ordered any. You better go back and check.
The owners of Blue House Farm had left their gate open that night. But when Paul drove back down the track, someone had shut it.
Meg, don't take any more deliveries until Paul gets back.
Is this the Golden Flower takeaway? Oh, can you help me? I'm from Blue House Farm, and there's one of your drivers here. Now, I didn't order any food, and I want to know why he's been at my front gate for nearly half an hour.
Hello?
It's Tony. Has Paul been around?
No, why?
He's been on a delivery just before 10 o'clock and he hasn't come back.
He used to toot the horn as he passed the house to let us know he was finished and he was going home. He done that every night. His dad said, he hasn't tooted tonight. And it was a terrible night, and my husband went to the gate.
Hello?
Elsie, I'm really worried. Paul's not come home and Tony's phoned to say he's not back from a delivery. He's been gone for nearly an hour and a half.
But it was when I got the phone call from Pamela that Paul hadn't returned. I was very concerned because I knew it wasn't Paul not to return from a delivery. My husband and David went to Chinese to talk to Tony. They asked him to take them straight to where the car was.
Hello? Can I have the police, please?
I really thought they'd find Paul and bring Paul back. Or Paul had maybe crashed in the car or something. I prayed to God so much Paul would come back.
Elsie.
To Tango 123, you in location on the Shotley Bridge, Newlands Road, where that major search unit
Oh, Dad, phone!
Paul had been killed by a heavy blow to the head.
Whatever they've done to Paul, they've done to the whole family. I can't describe to anybody how I feel. It has just ripped my family into pieces. You see people, but what's inside, you can't describe. I've known sorrow, I've known pain, but this is worse. It's a lot worse. You can't describe what goes in your head. There's times you think you're going mad. Things that go in your head because you need to know why such a thing has happened.
Well, Mr. Wilson, there's no doubt really that Paul was deliberately targeted. The question is why?
We haven't established a motive yet, but we have found that there are a lot of people who hold a grudge against Paul Logan.
A lot of people saw the man in the phone box that night. What did he look like?
He's white, about 6 foot tall, 30 years of age, muscular build, wearing a black leather jacket, scruffy appearance, collar-length dark hair receding at the front, and the driver of the Fiesta vehicle was of similar build, again wearing a black leather jacket and a scruffy appearance.
So did anyone see the red Fiesta that night? Any other witnesses? There's another vehicle seen near Blue House Farm. Now this is very significant.
Yes, at the time of the murder, witnesses saw the victim's car, and just prior to that, they saw a red or orange-coloured Astra motor vehicle in a track about 150 yards away. We would ask the people in that vehicle to come forward to the police, and there are reasons why they may not wish to do so, but I can tell them that we will treat their contact with us in strictest confidence.
Right. There is a reward. The family's got a reward together in this case.
Yes, the family of the victim will offer £10,000 for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the persons responsible.
Mr. Wilson, thank you. There does seem little doubt that somebody knows who committed this murder. Please do ring us if you can help at all. We're on 0500 600 600 here in the studio. The number for the incident room at Wickham Police Station in Northumbria is 091 221 9319. That's 091, the code for Tyneside, 221 9319.
I said earlier on it had been a rather slow start of the programme, but by heaven, the phone calls have really been coming in very, very fast now. On Samantha Bisset and her daughter Jazmine, the tragic murder there, we've got an enormous number of calls, we've got an enormous number of names, and on one of them on the Burnley armed robbery incident, the police are now following up a lead as I speak.
Do pick up the phone and call if you think you can help. Even a minor detail could be very important and more important than you think. We'll be back with Crimewatch Update at 11:15 after question time.
Meanwhile, of course, don't have nightmares, do sleep well. Good night.
Good night.